welcome. Thank you for joining our class. This is your virtual session called How to Choose a Breast Pump, or Breast Pumps 101. You're going to get to know everything you've ever wanted to know about breast pumps and more. My name is Courtney Marquez. I'm a Certified Breastfeeding Specialist here at Neb Medical Services. Neb Medical Services is a distributor of insurance-covered breast pumps and maternity supplies. So we have been helping families for many years. We will ship a breast pump straight to your door and do all the paperwork for you, make it really, really easy and simple. So we're glad you're here, and I know today you're here to learn about breast pumps. Possibly you are a first time or a second time or even a third time mother who really just needs help kind of choosing a breast pump. We know that today there are so many breast pumps on the market, and it's overwhelming, right? There's so many to choose from. So by the end of this session, you are really going to be able to understand breast pumps a little bit more, know about the different types and categories, understand what an open and closed system is, understand the difference of a personal pump and a hospital pump, and really going to give you some tools to be able to confidently choose a breast pump that you will like and be able to use for the journey of your pumping, your breast pumping journey. Okay. So let's get started. So I'm going to first talk about this. This is a manual breast pump. So manual breast pumps have no electricity, no cords, no wires. It's simply a kit with a flange attached to the top and the pump in the back. So the pump in the back allows you to pump fast in like a massage mode, and then a little bit slower and heavier for that expression mode. So a manual breast pump is just going to be another tool in your toolbox. It's not going to be a pump that you're going to replace your personal double electric or replace your baby. This can go with you in your bag. It's a quick, easy, fairly clean pumping session. So the point of breast pumps in general, right, is to mimic when the baby would be feeding. Generally, we breast pump when the baby's not with mom. Some moms who are exclusive pumpers or who have to pump after breastfeeding sessions, that's different. What we're really going to be talking about today is moms that are going to be pumping when they're away from baby. So breast pumps usually are there to replace a feeding if you're at work or away from baby traveling. So we need to choose a breast pump that is going to allow us to pump often and efficiently. So we will learn that the difference of breast pumps are really going to impact how often and how efficient you're going to be able to pump. So when we're talking personal double electrics. So manual breast pumps is just going to be another tool in your toolbox. Highly recommend all breastfeeding, breast pumping mothers to get a manual pump. You can basically use it anytime. If you don't have time to kind of sit down and get to your personal double electric pump, or you're pumping both breasts at the same time, with a plug-in electric pump, you could use this for a little bit and just kind of tell your breasts, I'll be there, I'm not quite ready to sit down and pump yet, but let me use a little bit of manual stimulation to get some of that milk out. Because what we know about breastfeeding and milk supply is supply and demand. So think of your ice chest. If you have ice still in your ice box, it's not going to make more ice until you pull that ice out, which sends a signal. If we're talking body, it's going to send a signal to our brain to say, okay, the milk is released from the breast. We need to make more. So every time we skip a pumping session or a breastfeeding session, but in this case, we're talking about pumping, we are going to signal to our brain that we don't need to make any more milk at that time. So the more that we continue to do that, and the more that we continue to skip a pumping session, whether we are stuck in the public transportation, stuck in a car, caught in a meeting, stuck somewhere where we can't efficiently pump, maybe because our pump doesn't allow us to, then we're going to tell the body that we don't need breast milk. So the more that we continue to go down that cycle, the more that we are going to tell the body we don't need more milk. So the point of pumping and the point to this class is really to help you choose a pump that is going to set you up to allow you to pump often, even when you are stuck in a transportation, even if you are stuck in a meeting or on a conference call. There are pumps that are going to set you up to be able to pump, believe it or not, during some of these situations, okay? So a manual pump is one of them that you can carry with you and use it for your entire journey. It's a really, really great tool. They run about, $15 to $20 maybe, not too bad. Next is a silicone breast pump. So these are newer to the market. And I have my little squishy boob in here to show you kind of what this is. So this is considered a manual breast pump, or I like to call it a milk catcher. And the point of this is you're actually going to use this on your breast while you're breastfeeding baby. So if baby's over here breastfeeding, we would attach this to the opposite breast and try to catch that milk letdown. What is a milk letdown? It is the milk ejection reflex. So we always have milk stimulated right around our breast. We always have milk sitting there. but it's not flowing until the baby or the bottle or the hand, something is triggering that milk ejection letdown, which then actually physically shows us that milk is spraying from the breast. Milk is now letting down, it's called. So a new mom definitely will feel some tingling, maybe even some pain when you're having a letdown. Hopefully not too much pain, but a little bit of tingles is kind of a signal to the body to say, okay, you're having a letdown. And if you're pumping, you will then start to see milk flowing into the bottle. But if you're breastfeeding a baby, you won't be able to see them milk flowing, but you should hear their suck swallows and hear them slowing down the pace and swallowing. So if we have this guy attached to our other breast, and how we would do that is we would pull this back, squeeze, get the nipple lined up right in the middle, put a little pressure so you'd have it on you, pull back, and then let go. And this is how it should be attached to you, okay? So if you can see from here that it has a lot of the tissue of the breast kind of pulled in on there, and it's constantly suctioning onto that tissue of the breast. So what this will do is it can actually help increase your milk supply a little bit if you use this, because if you were to just not put anything on your breast and you're breastfeeding this baby over here, you'd have a letdown and your milk would probably be leaking. A lot of moms would tend to leak. So you could either catch that in a milk pad, your bra leaking down your shirt, or sometimes they have those little milk catchers you can put in your bra. And those are all fine and dandy. But the Haka actually gives pressure, constant pressure to that breast tissue around your nipple, which is going to encourage more milk to move from a high level of gravity to a low level of gravity, and actually encourage more milk to come out on top of what's already coming out. So it could actually help increase your milk supply a little bit. Number two, you'll be able to catch some milk in here. So this is a great, easy way to start catching some milk to either build your stash, use in the bath for the baby, place on the baby's face if you're noticing any alignments or acne or the scratches, the cradle cap. You can use the milk for any of that. And also you can go ahead and start to introduce the bottle with this milk as well. So in a perfect scenario, a mom that's breastfeeding, is exclusively breastfeeding, she will not need to use that breast pump at all until she's, getting ready to go back to work. So maybe then you could work with your lactation professional to set up a schedule or find a time that would be appropriate to go ahead and start pumping, to start to build a little stash before you go back to work. But that's not even appropriate either. You could actually go to work the first day, pump enough milk for whatever your baby needs for the next day, and just have enough milk at home for that first day for whatever baby needs. So everyone's situation when it comes to pumping is very, very unique. So I do recommend working with a lactation professional to kind of get that schedule going for you if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. But as for the Haka, you could start collecting some milk in here, and then around week 2, we could introduce the bottle to the baby. So we would be, introducing the bottle once a day, every day from week 2 on. And whatever you collect in here, which even if it's just an ounce or half an ounce, is plenty for the baby to start playing with. So the Haka has a lot of wonderful benefits. So I highly recommend any breastfeeding mom to go ahead and purchase the Haka. Motif also has one as well. And I think there's a few other brands out there too. What you're here to learn mostly about today is personal double electric breast pumps, which I have several in front of me. It happens to be the Spectra, the Motif. Personal double electric breast pumps are much smaller than a hospital pump. They are personal use, so they're made for one mom and one breastfeeding journey. They are not FDA regulated multi-user, so they should not be being shared back and forth. You should go ahead and recycle your breast pump after you have used it, or if a friend or family is also recommending you get their old used breast pump, I would also recommend that if it's a Medela, you can send it back to Medela for their recycling program. If it's not, you can call your village and try to use your recycling through your village or your city to get that pump recycled. These personal double electric breast pumps have a 1 to 2 year warranty. That's it. So that's going to tell us how long that motor is going to go for, how long that manufacturer is going to back that motor of that product. And because they're a personal use, they know that most moms, not all moms, breast pump for a year or 2, depending on how long your breast pumping journey is. We know some moms go a lot less, some moms go a lot longer, but these have a warranty between 1 and 2 years. That's it. Okay, so that's why these are personal use breast pumps. You do not want to get a used breast pump and have that hinder your breast pumping journey right out of the gates, because these motors in here are going to wear out because they only have a 1 or 2 year warranty, because they are personal use, because they are a little quite, ready to go kind of personal little products here. The motor is going to wear out. So if you get a used pump from a friend or a family and start your pumping journey with it, you could definitely be hindering your milk supply. you could definitely be getting a pump that has a weakened motor, which is going to translate to a weak suction, which is going to translate to poor milk transfer from the breast, which is going to translate to lower supply, okay? So it's best to get a brand new pump if possible every pregnancy. Some insurances will cover a breast pump every pregnancy within 12 months. Some cover every 5 years. So for those of you who have a plan of 1 every 5 years breast pump, I highly encourage you to get a breast pump that has a warranty of 2 years at least. So you could hopefully try to get, you know, a longer longevity out of that breast pump and maybe even use it for your 2 babies. So that's something to keep in mind, okay? Nevertheless, I have so many pumps in front of me. I'm excited to show you today because I know that's why you're here, what you're here to learn about. Multi-user hospital grade pumps I don't have in front of me, but I will tell you that they have a warranty of 7 to 10 years. They are bigger, they are bulkier, they are more durable than our personal use pumps. They are really made to be used in the hospital and be pushed around on a cart. Because they have that warranty of 7 to 10 years, that tells us that motor inside of those pumps are made to go for a long time. They are also FDA regulated for multi-user, so they are safe to be passed around from mom to mom. And if you have used a hospital pump, or you might use a hospital pump, you'll notice they'll give you a brand new kit. So something like this, they'll give you a brand new one right out of the bag for you to use, which will be a closed system and safe for you to use. So the big difference between a hospital grade pump and a personal double electric is not even the suction levels, which you'll hear a lot that those are higher suction, and that's really not true. What it is that warranty. It's that motor that's housed inside of that pump is much stronger for a hospital grade pump than a personal double electric. So sometimes in some situations, moms definitely are better off using the hospital grade pump. Maybe if you're separated from baby after birth, you have twins, multiples, you're not feeling or seeing any milk coming in, you don't have any colostrum, something's off, baby and mommy are separated, things like that you could really use that hospital grade pump because of that stronger motor. It could help stimulate the breast tissue a lot more in the beginning, which is very, 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 very important for moms. But you really want to work with a lactation professional and your nurses when you're kind of deciding which pump you're going to use. But again, this is such a broad category because everyone's birth, everyone's lactation situations are very, very unique. So I'm just telling you the difference of a hospital pump to a personal double electric. But nevertheless, the personal double electrics and the hospital pumps efficiently pump milk from both breasts at the same time using a power source. So that's either going to be plugged into the wall, batteries, or a rechargeable battery option, okay? They do have the option to pump one breast as well. The last type of pump is this new category called a hands-free or a wireless breast pump. So this is the entire unit. This is the motor, the flange is back here, the milk collection bottle kit's here, and our breast is going to go here. So this is the new one, hands-free wireless. This is the entire pump, no cords, no wires, no nothing. So this pump is very fascinating. It really, really wins the category for being silent and hands-free and allowing moms to really multitask. However, there are some concerns with maybe a little learning curve and kind of knowing how your body reacts to suction. Because it's definitely a little bit different than a traditional flange kit. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But those are the different types of breast pumps. So we have manuals, personal double electrics, hospitals, the milk catchers, hospital, I think I already said, and the wireless hands-free pumps, okay? So now we're going to talk about some characteristics of breast pumps. And this is going to be kind of the meat and potatoes of how you're going to choose a breast pump. How are you going to choose a breast pump when there are so many on the market? Where do I even begin? Well, let us help you, okay? So there's a few things we need to consider. So a few words you hear sometimes is strength, hospital strength. And honestly, that's a marketing term. So strength really is translated from that motor that's housed inside of that pump. So when they say hospital strength, you can probably guarantee that pump has a 2-year warranty and that motor inside of that pump is a little bit stronger, maybe built a little bit better, more durable than a pump that has a 1-year warranty, okay? Hospital grade pumps have a nice, durable motor that's going to last for many, many years, which that can translate to a little bit better suction and just overall performance of the breast pump, okay? So when you hear that word and you hear people talking about that, now you know that they're really trying to say motor, which equates to warranty, really, on the pump. Suction is another category, so hang with me. This one's pretty detailed, but suction on a breast pump is very, very important. Obviously, like suction on a baby when they're latching onto the breast is also very, very important. Babies and breast pumps do not pull milk from the breast. They do not tug, they do not sleeve, they suck, but really it's a vacuum that we're using. So we're actually vacuuming on to the breast with the pump and or the mouth of the baby and moving the milk from a higher level of gravity out the nipples to a lower level of gravity, okay? And how we do this is really with getting a really nice, great suction. So suction on a breast pump can be measured by something called mmHg, millimeters of mercury. And if you just do a quick Google search on that, you can see that the breast pumps come with all sorts of different millimeters of mercury, all different levels of suction, of vacuum pressure that these breast pumps can have the outputage of. And with a quick Google search, you can see that they'll give you ranges between 50 and 240, 40 and 270. One of them, the Baby Buddha, goes up to 320, so it maxes out at 320. Now, a lot of moms are not going to go to the max. Some moms do. Really, pumping is all about comfort. So, but this can give you an idea. A lot of breastfeeding moms struggle because we can't physically see a lot that's happening with breastfeeding, breast pumping. And same with the breast pump. A lot of it's kind of unknown and hidden. So I'm here to give you all that juicy details today. So if you want to research mmHg, it's actually going to give you a number of kind of how strong, how much outputage and suction, vacuum pressure is that pump going to put out. And I'm here to tell you that some of the hospital grade pumps have the same or comparable amounts of mmHg to our personal double electrics, okay? Another way you're going to get really good suction on your breast pump is to make sure all your parts on your kit are on correctly and they're on tight. Not too tight, but tight enough, and they're on the proper way. So we need to make sure that our milk flow protector is in there, our top is on secured, our bottle's attached correctly, and most importantly, our valves. Our valves are on the right direction. So you'll see a line in there, and you really want to kind of measure up the valve to make sure it's sitting in between that line so the milk can flow out. Also, these valves, you're either going to have a valve, a ductile valve, or you're going to have a membrane on your breast pump, whichever one you get, okay? You'll see the membrane, you'll see the ductile. These need to be changed out very often, okay? So there are some cheat sheets. We have it on Instagram as well. Maybe we'll put a little thing down here that shows you kind of how often you need to change out these valves. This is very, very important for suction. So if you ever are noticing your milk supply going down a little bit when you're pumping, or you're not feeling the suction quite as strong as it once was, your first troubleshooting is to make sure all your parts are on correctly. There's no rips and tears. And also that you have changed this out. Change the valves out every time you're starting to feel like the suction's a little less or the milk's a little bit low. Or just get on a routine of every 4 to 6 weeks, change these out. So if you already have your breast pump before baby comes, which we highly encourage, we will send out a breast pump up to 30 days before your due date. And you know which pump you have, you can go ahead and check out if you have a valve or you have a ductile valve or membrane and put some of these on your registry. These are items that you're going to need a lot of, okay? Also, God love all our helpers, our in-laws, our partners that help us, but sometimes these can get thrown down the drain too and they don't really know what it is, or we get a rip or a tear in it that needs to be thrown away. So, if someone's packing your pumping bag for you and these do not get put in there, you can't pump the next day. So I recommend getting a bunch of these, keeping some in your pumping bag, keeping some at home, keeping some at work, whatever, and make sure you are changing these out very often, okay? That's really, really gonna impact your suction on your pump. So as long as we have everything on tight and securely, we've changed our valves. The last thing we wanna make sure is, and I'll talk about this later, is our flange, making sure our flange is on, correctly. We have a good sizing on our flange, okay? It's very, very important for suction and overall, just functionality of the breast pump in general, okay? So those are some things that you're going to really, really, really recommend and keep in mind when you are pumping. An open versus closed system. This is very important. There is still one breast pump on the market that has a traditional open system, okay? And you can maybe just look at these two kits to see the difference. One of them has this little ball here. And what this is a traditional closed system breast pump. So our nipple would go in here, right? In and out of the flange. And our milk will spray down here into the tunnel and then into the bottle. What we don't want to happen is our milk to splash up and go into what here would be the tubing, which would plug right into the front of the breast pump. We do not want milk to get into the tubing or into the motor of the breast pump, obviously. So we have what's called the backflow protector, this little silicone insert here. And its job is to protect the milk from splashing up and getting into our tubing of our pump. So I think all of the breast pumps we have, actually about 90% of pumps in general are closed system. But Medela still has an open system breast pump, and it is the traditional black bag pump and style. It is still open system. So if you can see the difference here, there is no backflow protector here. So that tubing will plug right into the back and go right into the front of the motor. So when I was pumping, and I highly encourage you to not really pay attention when you're pumping. Get your pumping bra on, get your flanges in there, set them up. We don't need to be doing any of this. We need to get our flanges right in line with our breasts and kind of just enjoy your pumping session. Read your book. Get on your phone, look at pictures of your baby, look at videos of your baby crying. That really, really can help your hormones and to trigger that letdown reflex. So don't be watching the bottles. But what happens when you're not watching the bottles, if you have an open system pump, is you could have milk spraying and you could get milk into that tubing, okay? So if you have this pump, I do recommend buying extra tubing as well as extra membranes, because if you do notice milk into the tubing, don't clean it. I know a lot of people do say to clean it. So I guess that's kind of on you, but my my opinion on this is to not clean the tubing. It's just throw it away and get new tubing. So that way, you know, every time we have a drip of water left anywhere, condensation, we have the chance of getting mold in there. But nevertheless, moms have been using this breast pump for 26 years. 26 years. So it's just definitely something to consider, and you know, just know about the difference of an open and a closed system. Okay. All the breast pumps that are multi-user hospital grade are going to be closed system for your safety, okay? On that same token, Medela has a new pump now. This is their new pump and style max flow, and it is more of a traditional closed system in Medela style, and I will show you that if I have that kit here in a minute. Another category to consider when you're choosing a breast pump, because remember the idea of breast pumping, the idea why we kind of need to really choose a breast pump is to be able to pump often, and sometimes that means discreetly, but pump often and efficiently when we're away from our baby. That is going to ensure that our milk supply is going to be stable while we're away from baby. So we have a portable and discrete category. So this is for my moms that are, I was holding that pump, but I'm not going to show it, that are going back to work, right? I mean, portable and discrete might be very, very important to you, and here's why. So I'm going to give you an example. A lot of my moms come into this class wanting a Spectra. This is the Spectra S2. This is the pink one. I don't know if you can see from the light, but it's pink, and it does not have a rechargeable battery. It has to be plugged into the wall to work, okay? There might be an option for a car charger on Medela's website, Spectra's website, but as it comes as a free option from your DME, which is us, Neb Medical, it comes as a plug-in pump, and it is not rechargeable. So say you are in a bartender or waiting tables or retail, and you get your free Spectra S2, like a lot of the girls in customer service I'm hearing taking phone calls, and a lot of our moms just default to the Spectra or the Medela because they haven't put a lot of thought into their pump. So say you're one of them, you just defaulted to a Spectra because you heard great things about it, and you got to work that first day and you were ready to go breast pump, and your boss said, okay, you have 15 minutes. And if you have ever waited tables or bartended or worked in retail, you would know, which I have done all the above, you would know that there isn't a quiet personal mom room. There isn't usually a very big office space. It's usually one little space in the boss, and he has paperwork or she has paperwork everywhere, right? Schedules and all the things. So where are you going to pump? Remember, this pump has to be plugged into the wall. And unless you have the car charger, but it doesn't come with it, you can't go to your car. So you're probably going to be stuck pumping in the bathroom. And that's just not good in many ways. But you have to remember, you're going to be a first-time mom, first time pumping away from your baby. Your confidence is really low. You're unsure. You're kind of nervous. You're kind of scared. And now you're pumping in the bathroom, which is not fun, on top of COVID and all these other things, right? So you're going to have to be very, very careful, first of all, with germs and cleaning and where you're going to put the pump. And then say you're trying to pump and you get everything set up, and then you have your coworkers and other public people coming in and out of the bathroom and flushing and doing all the things, and they're hearing your pump, mind you. The Spectra is decently quiet, but hearing you pump, it's just going to be probably chaotic for you. So chances are when you go back to pump again in 15 or an hour, 2 hours, however long you get for your 15-minute break, you're probably not going to want to pump. You're probably going to say, you know what? That was traumatic. Screw it. I will just wait till I get home with my baby. And if you are a very, very, very lucky person, you may be able to keep up your milk supply doing that. But chances are you are not going to keep up your milk supply by doing that. Every time we skip a pumping session, our body is telling our body to not make more milk. So if we have very little babies, that is a very slippery slope to be riding on. If we have older babies, age 2 and 3 or something, and maybe you're still pumping or whatever the case may be, you can maybe get away with that. But younger babies, you cannot get away with that. You are strictly on supply and demand. So it's very important. We pick a pump that is going to allow you to pump. So let's say that that same mom would have done some research or came to a Neb Medical Services class and maybe chose the Baby Buddha or the Medela Freestyle, the Zomi, the Spectra S9. Maybe she's that Spectra fan. The S9 is rechargeable and small. Maybe she has something like this instead. So maybe that pumping session would look totally different. She gets her pump, which is fully recharged. She charged it last night. She has her hands-free bra on, gets her flanges in there, brings a nursing cover or a blanket or baby blanket or something, and says to another coworker, let's go sit on a bench or let's go in the car. I actually really loved pumping in the car because it smells like home. You can see your baby's car seat in the back. You can turn on the radio, change the temperature to however you like. It's actually a pretty enjoyable place to pump. But with a rechargeable battery breast pump, now you have options. Now you will not be stuck in a bathroom. This one has a lanyard, so you could definitely put this guy right around your neck. And again, I keep saying hands-free bra because it's very important when you're pumping to really allow you to be hands-free. And not only that, but it allows the flanges to stay centered on your nipple and just not put pressure on your breast. It just sits where they're supposed to sit, and that's very important to help you pump the correct amount of milk and not have any pain. So say this mom has this pump instead. Now she can pump in the car, pump on her on a walk even with a friend or on the park bench. She's probably going to be excited to pump again in the next few hours. She's actually going to be looking forward to that 15-minute pumping session that she gets. And she's going to be able to pump more often and enjoy it and be able to keep that milk supply up if she just would have put some thought into it and got a pump that has, some features that are going to allow her to pump more often. So I like giving that example because I think it really kind of drives it home as to why I'm teaching this and why it's so important to really think through this. That sometimes the free option might not actually be the best option for you. And some of the rechargeable battery pumps, just so you know, do have an upgraded fee. So if you can't afford that, if you look at your pump options ahead of time, ahead of baby being born, ahead of your shower, maybe that's something you put on your shower, a $50 gift card or something, so you can pay for the upgrade. If this is really, really important to you and you're going to be using the rechargeable battery option often, it's very, very, very important to go ahead and pay that extra to have that option, okay? The next one that kind of goes hand in hand with that is noise level. So again, if you're pumping around people, public transportation, conference calls, whatever it may be, you might want a pump that's not so loud, but maybe a little more quiet. So I'm going to turn a few on for you, okay? So here is the new Medela Pump and Style Max Flow, and I'm going to plug this because this is where the tubing would be, okay? So this one's fairly quiet. Okay. I'm going to show you the old Pump and Style, which has a very mechanical sound. This one definitely is our loudest one. Okay. 26-year pump, still thriving and doing wonderful things, but it's definitely on the louder side. I'm going to show you the Motif Luna, which is very, very, very similar to the Spectra, okay? I'm going to go ahead and plug this down here. Very, very quiet breast pump. There's actually nothing really for you to hear. It is nice and quiet, okay? Spectra is similar, maybe a little bit louder, but it's pretty silent as well. This is the Motif Twist. I really like this breast pump for many reasons. This one is a little bit louder, but not terrible. Let's see here. The Spectra S9 is fairly quiet. So if you're a Spectra fan, you need something quiet and rechargeable. This might be it. Okay. Baby Buddha sounds very similar to that one. It's also very quiet. Our Zomi is a nice pump. This might be dead, I don't know. Rechargeable and quiet. So overall, it's just important to kind of hear the sound. And Medela in general, I'm just going to tell you, have a little bit of the louder pumps, okay? Their pumps are a little bit on the louder side in general. This is a Medela Freestyle. Okay, so just know that. But the LV definitely wins this category. We have one wearable silent breast pump, and this is it. This pump is definitely silent. It just sounds like a little tap. So you could definitely be working as a dentist, a doctor, anything like that with patients and be pumping on the job because this pump is virtually silent, okay? So it's very important, I think, to hear the sound and the affordability of these breast pumps. How much do we know about them? The more that we know about them, the better off we're going to be to choose one that we really love, and that's going to set us up to be able to pump often, right? And be happy with our pumping. Power source goes hand in hand with all of these, and I think I've already hit that a few times with knowing that some of these pumps have a rechargeable battery, right, which is super important, and it does not hinder the strength of the breast pump. With the rechargeable option and the plug-in are going to work hand in hand. It's not going to affect the suction or the way that the pump is going to work. Now, if the pump has batteries, that's very different. So let's say the Twist, for example, actually has a USB plug. So this is something else you need to consider. If you have a car that's newer, like my car has a USB plug, so this pump comes with a USB. So I know right away I could use this in the car, hands down. Don't need to buy a car charger. So if you have a car that has the older cigarette lighter car chargers, you need to research if that pump is compatible, and you can maybe buy something like that. But this one could go right into my car. This one is nice and quiet, and it has batteries as an option. So know that if you are going to use the battery option, you probably only want to be using this option, say, once a month. Otherwise, these are going to get really expensive to keep changing out, and you're not really going to know when they're going bad, and that is going to affect your suction, okay? So if you are going to be using the rechargeable battery option or the hands-free option a few times a month, it's probably very wise for you to invest in the upgrade fee and get a rechargeable option, okay? So we have the Spectra, the S9, we have the Medela Freestyle and Freestyle Flex that are both rechargeable. The LV is the 100% rechargeable option. And then we have the Motif has a rechargeable option and a wall plug option, okay? The wall plug is usually going to be covered 100%. The rechargeable is usually going to be a little bit of an upgrade fee. The S2 is not rechargeable. The S1 is blue. It is rechargeable, okay? The new Medela Freestyle, Pump and Style is a wall plug-in breast pump, okay? And same with the older Pump and Style, it is a wall plug-in as well, okay? So that means they do not have the option for that rechargeable battery. So keep in mind, and go back to my example that I just told you, I think it's very, very, very important to really consider the battery when we're talking about a pump. Features on a breast pump. So our breast pumps, we know, kind of have a lot of different looks and feels to them, and features simply means kind of keeping your own understanding of something you like, something you know about yourself in mind when you're choosing a pump. So let's say our new Medela Freestyle Max Flow Pump and Style, it has no screen, it has no buttons, it just has some buttons here, but it has no screen and a lot of buttons like some of our other ones do. So this one's pretty easy to use. So when it doesn't have a screen, I feel like it has a little bit of a lower learning curve, meaning it's a little bit fairly easier to use. So we have a power button here, we have a plus and a minus, and we have this little button here with some like milk buttons. So what this means is it has an expression mode and a massage mode, and then it has a plus and a minus for up and down for your suction levels, okay? So with this pump or any pump, you'd start in the very fast flutter, which is called massage, right? We're massaging the breast. So babies, even when they're breastfeeding, start very fast. They're gonna pull your hair and hit your other breast and twiddle the other side once they get a little bit older, trying to get that milk ejection reflex to let down. Same with the pump. So I don't know if you can hear that. Kind of sounds like a galloping, but it's very fast, okay? So as soon as you feel that letdown, those tingling, start to see the milk flowing, you would hit that button. Now do you hear it slow down? Slow down. So now we're gonna go big pull. So now you have the option to go up and down with your suction, okay? So it's actually fairly easy to use a pump like that has no screen on it. And I think that's why this Medela Pump and Style has been an excellent pump for 26 years. Very, very easy to use. You turn the button, when you feel your letdown, you hit the two-phase button here, slows everything down. This controls your suction, and then you turn it off when you're done. Okay? Pretty easy to use. And you just turn up the suction to whatever is comfortable for you. You never ever have to go to the highest or the lowest. You just go where it's comfortable for you. And then we have pumps like the Motif and the Spectra, which are very, very similar. I'll show you. Very, very similar, okay, with the buttons that get a little bit more detailed, have a lot more options for you. Where the two I just showed you had built-in speed for the expression and the massage and expression modes. These pumps actually allow you to toggle between the speed and the suction for both massage and expression mode, okay? So I'm going to keep that loud for you. Remember, it's not this loud, but so you can hear it. So just like the other one, we'd start off in that fast flutter mode. So this one actually tells you in mode that you're in massage mode. It has a hand that says massage. So you can hear how fast it is. You now have the option, you're gonna have, looks like no cycles. You're gonna have the option to go up 5 different levels of vacuum. And then when you feel that letdown, you're gonna hit the mode. And now you're gonna have, let's see, 12, I believe it is, 12 levels of suction. And I think 4 or 5 cycles of vacuum pressure. So now you are in charge of the levels of suction and the speed, okay? So these pumps that have the screens and a lot of buttons are gonna give you those options. So that really comes down to what you prefer. Do you like something like that and want a lot of options? So maybe a slight learning curve, or do you want something that's very simple with no screen like the twist? You simply twist the button. Hear it fast. As soon as you feel a letdown, you turn it a little more. It's gonna start to slow down for you. But the speed and the suction in this one are totally built in. Okay, so this one's really easy to use, but again, you don't have a lot of options. So I'm just gonna stop there and leave it there for you to understand and know that when you see a screen and some buttons, you definitely have a little bit more options. And neither one is right and wrong. That's what I'm here to tell you, is this really comes down to you and your preferences and what you like and don't like. So just because people have said, you know, for so long the Spectra is a great pump, and we know it is, it might not be a great pump for you, okay? So just know that when you see a screen and some buttons, you're definitely going to have more options and a little learning curve, okay? Technology, we have a few pumps that hook up to apps. We have the Lansino Smart Pump syncs to an app. The LV syncs to an app. Because this sits down in your bra, you can't even see the milk flowing. So you're actually going to be able to see that on the app. You're going to be able to toggle the suction speed on your phone and also see the milk flowing, filling up in the bottle, so you know when it's the right time to pull it out of your shirt so we don't have it spilling everywhere. The Medela breast pumps also sync to an app. I'm not sure if it's free or if you have to pay. I think they have a few different services for you. But other than that, those are the only pumps that we have that sync up to an app right now, okay? Replacement parts, we talked about this a little bit, but really, I just want to hone in again that our valves or membranes really need to be replaced often. Again, we're going to try to maybe put a little slide down here that tells you how often that needs to be switched out, depending on how often you're breast pumping. But if you're an exclusive pumping mama, you really need to be changing those out every few days, even maybe, depending on how often you're pumping, okay? If these ever get a tear or a rip in them, make sure you throw it away and get new. Other than that, your flanges should never need to be changed out. It's hard plastic. I hope you wouldn't be throwing them or breaking them. If your flange has a silicone insert and this gets a rip or a tear, I would say change it out. Also, if you have a closed system breast pump, you should not be getting any milk into your tubing. But if you ever notice milk in your tubing, it might be wise to buy another set of tubing just to keep it on you to replace, just in case. And if you have the pump in style, please buy some extra tubing and make sure you're changing that out if you ever notice any milk or water or anything in there, okay? And then that you shouldn't really need to be changing out our parts too often. Know that Bye Bye Baby, Target, Walmart are usually going to have brands like Spectra, Lansino, Medela. I don't know how much they have on the shelves for replacement parts, so it's probably wise to get them from a company like ours. We have some, or go straight to the manufacturer and get those parts, okay? Breast shield. So breast shield sizing is such a big category, okay? And we talked about this earlier, that it's so important to get the correct size of flange. And we know a lot more about that now, that when you get a breast pump, it's either going to come with 1 or 2 flange sizes. Please hear me out and know that that is not the size you have to use. That is the size of, hey, this is an average size that a lot of our moms use. See if one of these work for you. And some pumps only come with 1 size. So you need to get a ruler with millimeters and have your partner measure your nipple, probably horizontally and vertically. And we're going to add 3 to 4 millimeters onto that number. Okay, so then we're knowing that we want the breast to be centered on the flange, but we need a little bit of space between. We don't want that nipple jammed in there. It's going to be too tight. So that's why we add the 3 or 4 millimeters, to give us a little space on either side so that nipple can freely go in and out. Now, what we're looking for is comfort. Comfort always trumps everything when you're breastfeeding and breast pumping, okay? Even sometimes how it looks, it's more important of how it feels. So we don't want a lot of the areola. So the areola is the brown circle around the nipple. We don't really care about that when we're breastfeeding and breast pumping. We care about it when we're breastfeeding because we want that baby to latch onto all of that. But when we're pumping, we're really just focusing on the nipple here, okay? And some of us have flat or inverted nipples, so we need to try and squeeze those out a little bit to try to see that nipple. So we want that nipple to be centered onto the flange here. We want to see that nipple just going in and out of that flange. Now, some of us that have a very elastic breast tissue may see some of that areola going in and out of the flange. And as long as that's comfortable for you, fine, no big deal. But if it's uncomfortable for you, we might need to go up a little size or down a little size of a flange. So the measuring of the nipple is really just giving us kind of an approximation of what could fit you. So know that some breast pumps have a lot of flange sizes that can accommodate moms with very small nipples and moms with very large nipples, like our Rumble Tough breast pump and Medela. I think they both have 14 different flange sizes, so they accommodate all shapes and sizes of breasts and nipples, where some of our other breast pumps only have 2-3 sizes of flanges. So really, really important for you to be understanding and knowing of your own anatomy and your own breast size, tissue, nipple size, all the things we're talking about here. It's very, very important, okay? So know that if you have a very small nipple or a very large nipple, Rumble Tough, Medela go down to the 15s, I believe, and they go up to the 33, 4, 5-ish, somewhere in there, okay? So keep that in mind when you're getting a flange. Also, some of these, some flanges come with a silicone insert. Some people use it for comfort. The silicone insert can actually help if you have elastic breast tissue. It can actually stop some of that from being pulled into the flange. So some moms really like it, but know that it's going to make your flange size go down a little bit because now you're putting something else into that flange size, okay? So you may need to go up a flange size and then put your silicone insert in. Lots of things to think about with a breast pump, right? I know this is all so overwhelming, but another very important thing is as long as you're having, maybe the black line up your belly, we want our nipples and our breast size to be growing at least a cup while we're pregnant, our areola around the breast to be getting maybe larger, darker, our nipple to be getting more prominent, darker. All these things are very common and good signs in pregnancy that lactation is occurring. Lactation is beginning for baby. If you're not noticing these signs, that is a red flag to most definitely seek a lactation professional maybe before baby's born, and know that we might need a breast pump that has a 2-year warranty, definitely a higher suction level for you, definitely maybe some different sizes of flanges so we can try a couple different things for your breasts, okay? So these are some things just to keep in mind when we're speaking of lactation and pumps and how to choose a pump before baby's even here. I know, that's challenging, right? That's kind of unknown. Baby's not even here yet. How can we choose a breast pump that we know is going to be great for you when baby's not even here? We haven't done this yet. So the tips and tricks I'm giving you are really just, ideas and things to consider and think about. So we can try to set ourselves up with a breast pump that will definitely be able to help us in our breastfeeding and breast pumping journey once baby's here and we are on to our breastfeeding journey and our breast pumping journey, right? So I think I think that's pretty much it. Also note that your breasts, your nipples could change sizes. Some women experience a lot of edema, a lot of swelling post-birth, no matter how baby's born, just fluid in general, or if you're engorged. That could make you maybe need a larger flange size, and then a few weeks, once kind of all that swelling goes down, you might go down to different flange size. Also measure both nipples. We could have different flange sizes on either nipples because our breasts are definitely not the same size, and sometimes our nipples are not either. So definitely consider that, okay? Make sure we're measuring a few times, maybe before birth and then after, and maybe in a few weeks later. And again, this is also different if you are exclusively pumping mom or you're an exclusive breastfeeding mom. Some of these things you might not even need to worry about, but the things I am telling you are important to consider, okay? So again, this was the How to Choose a Breast Pump class from Neb Medical Services. My name is Courtney Marquez. Thank you so much for listening and joining. If you have any feedback, please feel free to share that with us. If you do need a breast pump, we'll put a link right down here that lets you know you can go ahead and get your breast pump through us. We will check your benefits for you, do the paperwork for you, and we have several wonderful pump options for you, okay? So enjoy your afternoon. Thank you so much for listening.